Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to boy GhostGG, and we are reacting to Alan Wake 2 exclusive hands-on preview from IGN first.
Deliciously pulpy
Just went live right now.
was at the heart of the original Alan Wake.
The premiere.
It returns for the sequel too, but the Stephen Kingisms look to be confined to the dark place, the New York-styled nightmare cage the titular writer is trapped in. Out in the real world, or at least what seems like the real world, the domain of our second protagonist, FBI agent Saga Anderson, developer Remedy Entertainment has crafted a new collage from pieces of its favourite detective stories. The eerie shadows of True Detective, Seven, and The Silence of the Lambs creep through Alan Wake 2's gorgeous digital depiction of
all
the
great
Pacific
stuff.
Northwest. For this month's IGN First, I visited Remedy's studio in Finland to play Alan Wake 2. Across more than an hour of play, I experienced the entirety of Local Girl, the third chapter of Saga's story. Within it, I saw plenty of things that will make long-term Alan Wake devotees happy. Manuscripts still litter the world, as do blue thermos flasks. There are generators to power up, and your shadow-burning flashlight.
Yeah, there's a save option there, right? Manual save and stuff like that. Auto save.
Stars make a very welcome return.
Thor and Odin are not here. They are old tricksters always sneaking off.
But the shift from nightmare horror to grisly
rock stars, baby,
thriller on Saga's side of the story is the first sign of the bold, sweeping changes that Remedy has made in its long-awaited sequel. Where the 2010 original was a relentless action game dressed in a Halloween costume, Alan Wake 2 is a full-bore survival horror.
I love it.
With puzzles, exploration, backtracking, and a crime fiction library's worth of creeping dread. It feels like almost every element of Alan Wake's gameplay has been reinvented. And, from what I can tell thus far, it's all for the better.
Yes. Love to hear that. Love to hear that.
Saga arriving in Watery, a town established by Finnish settlers. It's just down the road from the original Alan Wake setting of Bright Falls. It's a similar David Lynch vibe. Quaint, but off-kilter. In these opening minutes, it's clear that Alan Wake 2 is unlike any other game Remedy has made before. There's no urgency as I wander down Main Street, chatting with the locals about a nearby trailer park, a lead in my wider investigation into the Cult of the Tree, the story's looming threat. But while this may be slower paced than Remedy's previous action romps, it's no less weird. Everyone seems to already know who I am, despite this being Saga's first visit to Watery. And Artie is performing a rousing number at the local cafe. Yes, Artie, the janitor from Control.
Yes. I knew it was him. I just couldn't remember his name.
I don't know if the coffee here is damn fine, but the atmosphere certainly is.
Oh, the road's flooded. But if you just follow this trail behind me, it'll lead you there.
A chat with entrepreneurial oddballs the Koskela brothers puts me on the trail of some spare keys for the trailer park, which are locked up in the gift shop of Coffee World, a local theme park. My journey there reveals that Alan Wake 2's world is built entirely different from its predecessor. Rather than the A to B shooting galleries that made up the original game, Watery is an open hub of snaking forest trails that can be freely explored and backtracked through. This has affected the scenario design. Across the duration of the chapter, my objectives take me back and forth, discovering and revisiting locations as new items and information expand the story.
I love that.
For now. I need the key to that trailer.
If the opening walk through Watery presents an air of Silent Hill, then this later approach positions Alan Wake 2 close to Resident Evil, which has long used its police stations and villages in a similar manner. That relationship is further emphasized by the abundance of puzzles. As I get closer to Coffee World, I stumble across a number of containers, each locked by a brain teaser with a difficulty level that scales in correlation with the rewards inside. I find a basic supply chest that's protected by a simple memory minigame, but later discover a lockbox containing a powerful crossbow. Cracking it requires a close study of the surrounding environment, as the bolts embedded in the nearby targets are clues to the padlock's combination.
Tools of the trade.
So it's not the numbers themselves, it's how many bolts are in them?
Approach over Resident Evil's tradition of using an unusual item as a key, although that
or the ones that are hit by bolts are the numbers that you need.
The touch of Resident Evil can also be found in Alan Wake 2's combat encounters, which are framed from an almost identical camera angle and have the remake's same snappy, stressful gunplay. There's a grisly wound system too, that opens up wet cavities with each gunshot. But that familiar foundation is blended with more original Remedy ideas. The dodge returns from the first game, so ducking beneath hurled hatchets and melee swipes is still part of the rhythm. And then there's the core of Alan Wake's DNA, the flashlight. Enemies are still
Yeah, baby.
cloaked in shadow, which must be burned away with the beam of your torch before bullets will inflict damage. It's great to see that unique mechanic return, not only for its ties to the lore, but also because it provides a distinct, tension-laced two-step approach to every enemy.
Yeah. You can't straight up just shoot them.
At the same time, it's equally great to see what Remedy has dropped from its original formula. The encounters in this demonstration mission are a far cry from the relentless waves of enemies that populated the first game. Instead, moments of violence are spaced much further apart and involve just one or two assailants. A single foe is a significant, bullet-absorbing challenge. It makes fights feel scrappy and desperate, a hurricane of adrenaline where every round counts. The journey to Coffee World is host to just two of these encounters. It seems like much of Alan Wake 2's horror is built on the nervous anticipation of violence rather than combat itself. More enemies lie in wait between the rides and stalls of the fairground, but the real battle here is one of the mind. Because on Saga's side of the story, Alan Wake 2 is not just a survival horror, it's a detective game too. We are playing an
that's
FBI
gonna make
agent
it.
after all,
That's a
so
great
Remedy
combination.
has built a small collection of bespoke systems to support that investigative fantasy. As I explore Watery, I gather an increasing pile of clues and evidence. Saga does not automatically make sense of these clues. Instead, they must be deciphered in the mind place, a mental representation
that.
of an FBI office in Saga's head. Here you can profile people that you've met to learn more about them, and arrange clues on a caseboard to make connections and unlock new mission objectives. In the most simplistic terms, this is a match the card to the right location puzzle. Evidence that explains a person's motive goes in the motive section of the board, for example, and cannot be placed anywhere else. The version of the system that I used for this preview was, unfortunately, a little clunky. The interface and UI prompts were slightly unintuitive, and occasionally I found that evidence wouldn't fit where it logically should do, forcing me to just try every option until the clues stuck. It wasn't particularly satisfying, but before I left the studio, Remedy was already using my feedback to fine-tune the caseboard. Hopefully
that's
it's in
good.
a better place in time for release. When it works though, I can see the value in the mechanic. I arrive at Coffee World's gift shop only to discover that a locked door prevents me from picking up the keys to the trailer park. Using the caseboard, I'm able to piece together notes that I find on a pinboard. A previous jammed lock was released using a screwdriver, and a maintenance man reports having recently fixed the percolator ride. The clues combine to trigger a new objective.
I do like that aspect of this now.
Break the gift shop's lock.
Using screwdrivers to break into
They're just adding new mechanics into the game, but they work well.
This admittedly isn't genuine,
especially since you're playing as Saga Anderson, right? She's FBI agent. She has some detective skills.
But the approach does provide the sense of your actions pushing the case
Have her
forward
do
and
detective
opening
work
up new lines of
within is a smart play.
Is a very simple example.
I like
I
that.
can see the board being vital to the much larger Cult of the Tree case, where there will likely be
Again,
some
destructible
standard
environments.
and
It's dope.
categories of evidence. The board breaks all that down into clear components and allows you to easily track its individual threads. That's helpful from a narrative perspective, and hopefully it will feel fulfilling when it comes to the detective roleplay of it all too. The detective work, map design, scrappy combat encounters, and slower, tense pace of Alan Wake 2 make it a very different proposition from its predecessor. In fact, from what I've seen across both my hands-on time and the demo shown at Gamescom last month, it feels like Remedy may be making one of the most radical sequels in video game history. While I love the studio's action game pedigree,
What are these
this
shadows?
experiment with survival horror so far feels like the approach Alan Wake was always meant to take. It's cerebral, grimy, atmospheric, and bursting with character. I can't wait to turn the page and find out what's lurking in the next chapter.
Headshot.
For more Alan Wake 2, check out this extended gameplay video and keep it locked to IGN first throughout the entire month of September.
Alright, I think that is the end, ladies and gentlemen. It seems like it. So, they gave us a little bit more of, a little more in-depth look into, what you call it? Just environmental stuff. Like, there's chests around the place that you can unlock by using codes that are found in the environment. And there's weapons within those chests. As the crossbow. So they're just giving us more environmental stuff that we can do. They a little bit more look at the mind place. He did say it was a little clunky, but Remedy took his feedback and they're working on it, so that's good. It's good that they're going to work on it to make it a little bit more non-clunky, I guess. I don't know if the right word would be. But it was essentially the same look at gameplay that we saw in the 11-minute preview, but a little bit of new stuff in there. And I am truly excited for this game. Like I said during the last reaction, this is my most anticipated game because when this game originally came out in 2010, it was one of the first games I ever played that I got with my Xbox 360 was which was 2010, I think. I'm trying to remember because I started. Yeah, 2010 would have been start of middle school for me. So it was either grade 6 or grade 7, which is 2010, 2011. So it might have been 1 year after. I just can't remember 100% now. But I got my Xbox 360. It came with Forza Motorsports 5 or something like that, and Alan Wake on a download card. And I liked Alan Wake a lot more because I'm just not into like any kind of sports kind of games. And the psychological horror game that Alan Wake was so much fun and scared the crap out of me when I was young. And now that they revamped it into a horror survival game like Resident Evil, but their own little twist with their own story to it, it's I cannot wait. I love those kind of games, and now we just get to have another one of those. It's perfect. But yeah, that is it for this reaction. I hope you guys enjoyed. I'll see you guys next time. Peace out.